This isn't just a video. It's a moment of truth for every dog owner. Dog wag their tail. They curl up next to you. They greet you at the door with love. But sometimes, behind all that, they're in pain and hiding it from the world. Dogs are wired to conceal weakness, but the signs are there if you know how to spot them. In this video, we'll walk you through 16 subtle, unexpected, and often shocking signs that your dog is begging for help, and why noticing them in time could mean the world to the one who loves you most. Sign 1: constant paw licking or scratching. If your dog is always licking their paws or scratching the same spot over and over, it's not just a habit. It's a sign that something's bothering them. This behavior is one of the most common signals of discomfort, but it's easy to overlook. Dogs lick their paws to soothe irritation, kind of like how we might rub our eyes when they itch. But when it becomes non-stop, it usually means there's a deeper issue. It could be due to allergies. Just like humans, dogs can react to things like dust, pollen, grass, or even certain foods. Their skin gets itchy, and licking brings temporary relief. Scientifically, this itchiness comes from inflammation in the skin, where special cells release chemicals like histamine that trigger that itch feeling. Fleas, ticks, or mites can also be the cause, hiding in the fur and making your dog miserable. Sometimes it's even a sign of pain in the joints or anxiety. They lick to calm themselves. If you start noticing redness, hair loss, or sores on their paws, it means they've been doing it too much for too long. That's your dog's way of saying, something's wrong. Please notice. Sign 2: destroying furniture or chewing on things. When your dog suddenly starts tearing up the couch, chewing shoes, or shredding pillows, it's easy to think they're just being naughty. But more often, it's their way of dealing with stress, boredom, or anxiety. Dogs need mental stimulation and a sense of safety. Scientifically, this behavior is linked to an increase in stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline, which spike when dogs feel anxious or lonely, especially if they suffer from separation anxiety. Their natural instinct is to chew as a way to cope or self-soothe. In the wild, chewing is a normal part of their behavior, but in the home, it becomes destructive when they're emotionally unsettled. Some dogs get destructive after a big change, like a move, a new pet, or a change in your work schedule. Others may react this way when they don't get enough playtime or exercise. If the destruction always happens when you're away, it's your dog's way of saying, I feel lost without you. This isn't just about bad behavior. It's a sign that your dog's emotional needs might not be fully met. Sign 3: excessive head shaking or ear scratching. If your dog keeps shaking their head or digging at their ears, it's not just about being itchy. It could be a sign of something brewing inside. Many owners think it's a cute quirk, especially if the dog does a little head dance after waking up. But frequent head shaking is often a sign of an ear infection or even a foreign object stuck in the ear canal. Scientifically, dogs have vertical ear canals that trap moisture and debris, making infections more common, especially in floppy-eared breeds. Bacteria or yeast can multiply rapidly, causing pain, pressure, and inflammation. Some dogs may also have ear mites, which are tiny parasites that crawl inside the ear and cause intense irritation. If your dog's ears look red, swollen, or have a bad smell, it's not just a hygiene issue. It's their body trying to get your attention. Sign 4: sleeping way more than usual. Sure, dogs love naps, but if your dog suddenly starts sleeping much more than normal, it could be a warning sign. A lot of owners assume it's just laziness, especially with older dogs, but too much sleep can actually point to low energy from something serious going on inside. Scientifically, dogs sleep an average of 10 to 12 hours a day, but that shouldn't be in long, heavy stretches with little interest in play or food. Sudden changes in sleep patterns can be tied to infections, metabolic disorders like hypothyroidism, or even depression in dogs. Yes, dogs can get depressed, and just like people, they lose interest in things they once loved. Lethargy can also be caused by low red blood cell count, anemia, heart conditions, or chronic pain. If your dog is less alert, slower to respond, or falls asleep in unusual places, it's not just because they're tired. It's their way of slowing down because something inside doesn't feel right. Sign 5. Repeated yawning or lip licking. Yawning or licking lips might seem like totally normal behaviors, but if your dog does them repeatedly during situations that aren't related to sleep or food, it can be a sign of hidden stress. Dogs use these actions as calming signals, ways to manage anxiety or nervousness. Scientifically, yawning activates parts of the nervous system that help dogs deal with stress by cooling the brain and easing tension. Lip licking, especially when there's no food around, is another subtle sign of inner discomfort. You might see these behaviors during car rides, vet visits, or even when guests arrive. Some dogs do it when they sense tension in the room, even if it's between humans. Many owners brush it off as nothing, but it's one of the clearest nonverbal ways your dog says, "I'm not okay right now." Sign 6. Avoiding eye contact or turning away. Many owners think their dog is being shy or guilty when they avoid eye contact, but this subtle behavior can actually be a sign of discomfort, fear, or emotional stress. Dogs communicate with their eyes, and avoiding eye contact is often their way of de-escalating what they see as a stressful or threatening situation, even if you're not being threatening at all. Scientifically, this is called appeasement behavior. It's common when a dog is in pain or feeling vulnerable, especially if they're trying not to show weakness. Some dogs turn their head away or lower it to protect themselves when something feels off. It can also happen if a dog is confused or not feeling well and doesn't want to interact. The mistake many owners make is assuming their dog is just being stubborn or misbehaving. But that little glance away? That's your dog saying, "I don't feel safe. Please understand." Sign 7. Staring at the wall or into space. One of the most puzzling behaviors for dog owners is when a dog just stares at the wall or into blank space. It seems random and eerie, but it's rarely meaningless. It affects memory, perception, and awareness. Scientifically, CCD changes the way a dog's brain processes signals, leading to disorientation and confusion. But this behavior can also be tied to seizures, especially partial or focal seizures, where the dog doesn't convulse but zones out or fixates. Some gastrointestinal issues or even vision problems may cause similar staring spells. If your dog is zoning out more than usual, they may be silently struggling with something they can't explain. Sign 8. Limping or sudden trouble. Walking. If your dog suddenly starts limping or avoids putting weight on one of their legs, it's more than just clumsiness. It's a clear sign that something hurts. Even if they're still wagging their tail or trying to play, that uneven walk is their way of saying, "This doesn't feel right." The cause can be something minor, like a thorn stuck in the paw, or something more serious like a sprain, torn ligament, or early signs of arthritis. Scientifically, limping is a natural response to pain or instability in the muscles, joints, or bones. When a dog's body senses injury, it automatically tries to protect the affected area by reducing pressure on it. In younger dogs, limping might come from overactivity or rough play, but in older dogs, it's often linked to joint problems like hip dysplasia or degenerative joint disease, which cause inflammation and stiffness. Sometimes the pain isn't visible on the surface, which makes it easy to miss. But dogs are experts at hiding discomfort, so if your dog is suddenly hesitant to walk, jump, or climb stairs, it's not just tiredness, it's their way of asking for help. Sign 9. Not eating or drinking like usual. Dogs are usually creatures of habit when it comes to meals, so when they suddenly skip dinner, drink less water, or eat with hesitation, it's a big red flag. Changes in eating or drinking habits often point to discomfort, stress, or illness. Scientifically, a reduced appetite, called anorexia in veterinary terms, can be triggered by anything from dental pain, upset stomach, fever, or even organ issues like kidney or liver problems. If your dog tries to eat but stops suddenly or chews awkwardly, they may have a cracked tooth or inflamed gums. On the flip side, excessive drinking could be a sign of diabetes, hormone imbalance, or kidney trouble. Weight loss, drooling, vomiting, or smelly breath might also show up alongside these changes. Sometimes dogs will still try to eat just to please you, but if their usual excitement is missing, that's a big clue. When a dog's appetite changes, it's rarely just pickiness. It's their body saying something's not right. Sign 10. Moving stiffly or slowly. When your dog starts walking slowly, stiffly, or with caution, it's easy to assume they're just getting older. But stiffness is often a sign of pain, especially in the joints, back, or muscles. Many dogs try to hide discomfort, so they'll push through it until it becomes too much. You might notice they hesitate before climbing stairs, getting up from a nap, or jumping onto their favorite spot. Scientifically, stiffness is usually related to inflammation in the joints. Where the cartilage that cushions bones starts to wear down, this is known as osteoarthritis. The body responds with swelling and reduced movement to protect the area, which makes your dog appear slower or stiff. And just like in humans, cold weather can make it worse. If your dog used to be bouncy and now moves like they're walking on eggshells, they're not just tired, they're trying not to hurt. Sign 11. Hiding or acting. Withdrawn, around people. If your usually social dog starts hiding, avoiding eye contact, or walking away from family or guests, it's not just them being moody. It can be a serious sign that they're not feeling well. Dogs are pack animals. They naturally seek out company. So when they withdraw, it's often a sign of pain, fear, or illness. Scientifically, this behavior comes from their instincts as prey animals. When they're sick or hurt, they hide, too, protect themselves from threats. If a dog is in pain, they may not want to be touched, especially around sensitive areas. Growling, flinching, or simply disappearing under the bed are their gentle ways of saying, "Please give me space." Sometimes the change is emotional, triggered by stress, trauma, or a shift in their environment. But more often, it's connected to physical discomfort that isn't obvious to the eye. When your dog stops seeking attention, it's not rejection. It's a quiet plea for help. Sign 12. Barking. More than usual or out of nowhere. All dogs bark. It's one of their main ways to communicate. But when barking becomes constant, more intense, or starts happening at strange times, it's often more than just noise. This kind of change can mean your dog is scared, anxious, or even in pain. Scientifically, barking is triggered by activation in parts of the brain linked to arousal and fear. Dogs bark more when they feel threatened, lonely, or stressed, and when they're struggling emotionally. If your dog is barking non-stop when you leave the house, they may be dealing with separation anxiety, a condition that spikes stress hormones and makes them feel panicked without you. Barking that's sudden and focused on one area, like the back leg or when being touched, might also indicate pain in that spot. Dogs can't point to what hurts, so sometimes they raise their voice to be heard. Sign 13. Sudden clinginess or over-attachment. Has your independent dog suddenly turned into your shadow following you from room to room? While some owners love the extra affection, this sudden clinginess can actually be a sign of stress or illness. Dogs that sense something's off, whether in their body or their environment, often seek comfort and security from the person they trust most. Scientifically, this behavior is driven by a surge in stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline, which cause dogs to become more alert, anxious, and needy. Some dogs may even be sensing a shift in your mood or health. Dogs are incredibly perceptive, but in many cases, the change is about them. If your normally chill pup suddenly can't stand to be alone, It may be their way of asking, "Something's wrong. Please don't leave me." Sign 14. Excessive drooling. A little drool during mealtime or while dreaming about a snack is totally normal. But if your dog starts drooling constantly or for no clear reason, it could be a sign that something's not right. Excessive drooling, or tyolism, can signal dental disease, nausea, or even poisoning. Scientifically, drooling increases when nerves in the mouth or throat become irritated, whether by a cracked tooth, gum infection, or something stuck in the throat. In some cases, it can be linked to an upset stomach or a condition called bloat, which is especially dangerous in large breeds and requires emergency care. If your dog's face looks wet more often than usual, or if they're licking their lips repeatedly, it's not just messy, it's their body reacting to discomfort or danger. Sign 15. Tail tucking, or tail stiffness. The tail is one of the clearest emotional barometers a dog has. If your dog is tucking their tail between their legs, holding it stiff, or keeping it unusually still, it's not just fear. It could be pain or neurological trouble. Scientifically, tail tucking is associated with the fight or flight response. When a dog feels threatened or overwhelmed, their sympathetic nervous system kicks in, lowering the tail to protect the body's vulnerable parts. But tail stiffness can also happen with a condition called limber tail, or acute caudal myopathy, often caused by overexertion, cold water exposure, or nerve strain. In other cases, back or spinal issues can affect tail movement. Owners often focus on the face or body posture and miss the tail entirely, but dogs speak volumes with it. When that tail changes, something else probably has too. Sign 16. Strange body, twisting while walking or standing. If your dog starts standing crooked, arching their back, or walking with an unusual twist or lean, it's a big signal that something's going on inside. This kind of posture change is often subtle at first, but it usually points to internal pain, especially in the spine, belly, or hips. Scientifically, dogs adopt abnormal postures when they're trying to take pressure off painful areas or protect sore spots. A hunched back can suggest abdominal pain, often tied to pancreatitis or gastrointestinal distress. Leaning to one side might signal a neurological issue or muscle weakness. Some dogs even hold their head tilted slightly without moving it back. This can be a sign of inner ear problems or vestibular disease. These strange postures can appear gradually, and many owners assume it's age or tiredness. But posture doesn't lie. When your dog changes how they hold their body, they're trying to tell you something is wrong.